So this is 6,000 points which has been moved from 1990 to 2008, and this number of points have been moved in 6,000 days accordingly. So this is what has been considered. The number of points are 9,000, and in 9,000 number of days we are getting 9,000 points. So this is what is called as squaring of time and price in a much more easier language. One more important thing which I just want to tell you is, if we start from 1990 up to 2015, so that makes it somewhere around 25 years. 25 years is nothing but a square of 5. 25 is nothing but a square of 5. So in 25 years, that is 5 into 5 years, we get something amazing, that is 9,000 points of movement in 9,000 number of days. So this is why Gann is such an interesting topic to study, because we see that various things are been converging together. Here we got 25 years. In 25 years, we got 9,000 points. Now 9 is nothing but again a square. 9 is nothing but a square. Again, 9,000 points in specifically 9,000 days. And if we look in terms of years, that makes us to 25 years, which is again a square of 5 into 5. So we'll discuss about this more of. Hello everyone. We had started with the Master Commodity Course, geometry specifically, and we had just had an introduction session about all these things. Today we will be discussing more about Gann angles, getting into the details of that part. So let's start with that. So we'll go on the Master Commodity Course, and after this we'll probably see Gann angles on the chart also, and we'll also discuss about why we have considered a specific angle at a specific point, more of getting into the details of that part, because knowing that is also critical, and then we'll be able to understand more about those typical parts, knowing about where we should be starting. How to draw geometric angle, this is what WD Gann did discuss, and this comes on page number 102. So if we look across there, what we get is, for example, he says if the top is 90, the square of 90 or 90 by 90 would represent squaring the time and price, because if we have 90 points up in price and we move up 90 spaces in time, we square the time and price. So he simply talks about one thing is the price should also move by 90 points, and in the similar way the time should also move by 90 spaces. So 90 spaces can be 90 days, 90 weeks, or 90 months, either of them. So let's try to implement this as our starting point for our Gann angles, because these are the geometric angles that he's been discussing about. Let's say, for example, we have this Gann angles which have been drawn. So where does the Gann angles come from? You go into the tools on the left hand side and you'll be finding Gann fan over here. Now, for the Gann fan to have, we should be at least having minimum 2 coordinates. Let's say, for example, if I draw in front of you over here, we'll be having this 1 point and this would be the second point. So if I look across, I have considered the start point. This is first of all a monthly chart, and this is Nifty. So Nifty we had somewhere around starting from July 1990. So we have considered that low as our starting point as such specifically. And the other point that we have considered over here in this chart is our 2008 high. I'll tell you why that has been considered, because knowing about these points are very important. See, until unless you ask questions, you will not be able to get the answers. So asking questions are important, and also getting the right answers are equally important. There's a small difference between faith and blind faith. So you need to know where you need to follow and where you need to ask questions. So here, if I check across from the bottom, I'll tell you about the points also. From the bottom to the high, we get somewhere around 6,078 points. So that is somewhere around 6,100 points. And if you consider in terms of time, from this point across till the high of 2008, that is January 2008, we have got somewhere around similar time frame, that is 6,000 days. Of course, it is more than that, but we will consider that we have somewhere around 6,000 points on the top side, and somewhere around 6,000 points in terms of time as well as in terms of price, both of them. So this is what we have considered, and what we have done is this we have considered as 1:1 angle, that is 45-degree angle. So what does 45-degree talk about exactly is it should be at 45-degree. Second is, so 90 spaces it should be moving across, and in the same time frame it should be moving by 90 points also. So this is where we will be finding square the time and price, and that is what the logic we should be using across, and this is what we have tried using on the chart also. So this is 6,000 points which has been moved from 1990 to 2008, and this number of points have been moved in 6,000 days accordingly. So this is what has been considered. Now if this high of March 2015 is again coming on our 1:1 line that has been shown over here. This is 1:1 line, which is for 2008 high, and this 1:1 line is again coming at a high of March 2015. So if this is 1:1 line, that means that whatever units of price are there, let's say for example, price is being shown somewhere around 9,000 points. So what should be getting from is from this starting point, you should be getting somewhere around 9,000 number of days. So let's try to see if we are getting 9,000 number of days over here so that we'll be able to know that yes, this is what exactly has been happening. So we start from this point and we go up to this date. And what we see over here is the number of points are 9,000. The number of points are 9,000. And in 9,000 number of days, we are getting 9,000 points. So this is what is called as squaring of time and price in a much more easier language. One more important thing which I just want to tell you is if we start from 1990 up to 2015. So that makes it somewhere around 25 years. 25 years is nothing but a square of 5. 25 is nothing but a square of 5. So in 25 years, that is 5 into 5 years, we get something amazing, that is 9,000 points of movement in 9,000 number of days. So this is why Gann is such an interesting topic to study, because we see that various things have been converging together. Here we got 25 years. In 25 years, we got 9,000 points. Now 9 is nothing but again a square. 9 is nothing but a square. Again, 9,000 points in specifically 9,000 days. And if we look in terms of years, that makes us to 25 years, which is again a square of 5 into 5. So we'll discuss about this more of when we understand about harmonics and octaves, because harmonics would be more of talking about the square numbers as especially, which would be coming from Pythagorean number. So Pythagorean is nothing but if you consider a triangle, that is a square plus b square is equal to c square. So this is all talking about squares. And what we see in terms of example over here is again a square, that is the time square, but price square gives me an angle of 1:1, and we have the angles which are there. So let's look at how are the angles that we have been getting. Let's say for example, if this is my 1:1 ratio line, I get first of all a resistance on this line at this point. Let's try to analyze that. So if I see from that point, maybe probably it did cut across the 2:1 line and it came below that to my 3:1 line. So 3:1 line was my support point. When it did break from that point, it came below, broke my 2:1 line, and below that it came down to my 3:1 line. So this is my 3:1 line which is there. It took a support at 3:1 line. From there, it started moving up above my 2:1 line. It gradually did take support at those points. Again came back probably somewhere around nearer to that. It was still above my 2:1 line over here, and from there again it tried to move up. Now see, if we maybe probably draw a horizontal line, we'll see the resistance over here. It did break that part and again it went to my 1:1 line. So around 2015 we again got a resistance over there, and from there it again did drop, came back to this That is, in February 2016, it again tried to take a support, maybe probably at my previous stops line, and from there again it went up. It was able to cross across this line, hold on to this part, but probably again it did broke down below this, and maybe after 2020, it tried holding on to these levels, maybe probably with this candle, and now it is moving above that. So again it tried to come down, and now it did move below this line, and this line is a ratio of 1 is to 2. Now currently it is just trying to hold above that, and if we move above these points, it should be going to my next angle, which is going to be 1 is to 3. So 1 is to 3 is currently there. That is, in one time span, it would be moving by at least 3 points. So this is what it would be indicating altogether. So this is what we see currently in terms of points movement. Let's try to see more of before this, what was been happening. If we look probably in terms of the monthly chart, yes, what we say is currently it was initially somewhere around in 1990, it was moving up gradually. And this pace of movement, let me tell you about the pace of movement also, because these points are on the top side. So let's look at the lines that we are being getting. So this is my 1 is to 8 line, and this is 1 is to 4 line. And this is 1 is to 3. So we have 1 is to 8, 1 is to 4, 1 is to 3, and 1 is to 2 line. So my first line is 1 is to 8, and my second line is 1 is to 4. So if I look across, somewhere around the movements was almost 3 points. 3 points every month, or probably in terms of 3 points every day. This is the unit that we'll be considering. So in terms of our movement, we can consider that it was somewhere around moving. This is 1 is to 8. That is, in 1 unit of time, it is moving by 8 points. This is 1 is to 4. That is, in 1 unit of time, it is moving somewhere around by 4 points. And this is somewhere around 1 is to 3. That is, in 1 unit of time, it is moving around by 3 points. So it went up gradually over here, but it was not able to sustain 1 is to 3, and from there it did drop down. It went back again, tried to sustain my 1 is to 1 line, because this is 1 is to 3 and this is 1 is to 2, and this is my 1 is to 1 line. So it did drop down below that, and probably it came down somewhere on my 2 is to 1 line. Let me look at this line. So probably this should be 8 is to 1 line, or 1 is to 8. So if I look in terms of unit, this is 8 is to 1. That is 8 units of time, and we move by 1 point. So this is what it has been indicating. So here it came down, probably it tried to take a support at 8 is to 1 line. So this is my 8 is to 1 line. That is 8 units of time, and it is moving by 1 unit. For example, if you see over there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe probably in that much number of unit of time, it moved only by 1 point. At that much of unit of time, it only moved by 1 time if you take overall the movement from maybe this point to this point. So this is how the ratios have been marked. Gradually again it tried to move up, probably till this line. Again it took a resistance, from there it did go down. It did hold on to this level, gained momentum, went above this line, again was been holding up. See again, if you see, probably a good hold can be seen somewhere around on this point. So this is one of the lines that we have drawn over here. Took a support from there, again it tried to break up. See, now here onwards you start getting that momentum. So it did gain momentum, went up. This is somewhere around in 1992. Again probably tried to hold on, but was not able to hold on. It went below that again, and my line, it took a support, did go below that, so went again, took a support on this line, did break that line, again went up, again was not able to sustain. So this is somewhere around in 1994. Again did break down, came back again at this levels. So maybe resistance again came back, and we see somewhere around in 2000 that we get a resistance around this 1:1 line. We see that in 2000, that is February 2000, we got a resistance on 2:1 line. And from there again it started coming down. So naturally it took a support at 8:1 line over here from 2001 onwards. This is October 2001 onwards till almost June 2003. So it took a support again, it tried to go up, sustained above my 4:1 line, and then after breaking this level, taking a support at that, again breaking, taking a support at this level, again it went up. So we have considered this point as my 1:1 point. So this is 6,000 points which has been moved from 1990 to 2008, and this number of points have been moved in 6,000 days accordingly. So this is what has been considered. If you think that okay, this is not an appropriate point, fair enough, fine, you can point. You can find out a very appropriate point where you get time price squaring. And where do we find time price squaring? This is given by WD Gann itself in his book Master Commodity Course, where he says that if the top is 90, the square of 1990 would represent squaring the time and price, because it has moved 90 points up in price and we move over 90 points in space. So whatever points has been moved in that momentum, it should be moving in terms of that same time frame. So 90 days, from 90 days, if it is moving from one point to another. So let's say, for example, over here, it is moving somewhere around by almost 3,000 days, 6,000. So over here, if we consider this is moving somewhere around by 6,000 days, and in 6,000 days, it has moved around 6,000 points. So this we have been considering squaring of time and price, although this is not very accurate in terms of number of days or in number of points, but we have just taken an example so that we can consider that. So after 2008, what happened is the market again did come down. And if we look at the line, it has taken a support as 3:1 line. 3:1 line. Again, it did break that line, tried to go up. Probably it formed a double top. From there, we got a resistance. It again started moving down. It did move down again, gradually started taking support, maybe probably considering cycles which are there. And again, it went up to my 1:1 line. So if we consider here as my 1:1 line, the number of points are 9,000. And in 9,000 number of days, we are getting 9,000 points. So this is what is consider that part also. Again, it did break down, and over here it tried to take a good support at this levels. Now if you want to consider this point as my 1:1 point, definitely you can consider that. Let's say from this point to this point, if you consider it has moved a significant number of points in equal number of days or in equal number of weeks or in equal number of months, yes, definitely you can consider that and see that movement moving in that direction. So here onwards we can see that again we have seen an upside movement, good upside movement, where it has been going up. Now if you consider this as my 1:2 line, yes, naturally it is trying to move up above those levels and trying to also hold on to this levels. So this is important for us, and we should also consider this part to be known. Now, in the same way, I can consider different points. Let's say, for example, as I told you, I move my 1:1 point to maybe over here. Why? Because I have just considered that, okay, maybe this is my 1:1 point. So that's why we have considered this. Now, maybe my movement will accordingly change. Let's say, for example, if I see over here, it is trying to take a support. So my 1:2 line was taking a support over here, and now this is the resistance at 1:3 line. That is, in 1 unit of time, my price is moving by almost 3 units. In 1 unit of time, my price is moving by 3 units. Now we can accordingly see over here what is the resistance that we are getting gradually. So again, if we see over here, yes, again one of the lines was more like a resistance over here. So this is my 1:2 line. So if we calculate that, just like we did a calculation over here of 6,000 number of points in 6,000 days. So probably we can look at this point also and maybe have a different calculation for this much number of days. Maybe at this point, or maybe at the bottom, or at the top, or maybe at other points where you think that squaring of time and price is critical, and you can draw that accordingly. Now, how this has been drawn? Now, probably if we look in the book, yes, these points have been given. For example, 2 is to 1. So this line has been given and it says that 2 cents per day. So 2 is to 1 is 2 cents per day. Same way, if I look for 4 is to 1, this is 4 points of space equal to one time period. So it is like 4 points of movement in 4 cents per day, or maybe 1 week or 1 month. So whatever it can be done, but price is moving by 4 units in equally 1 unit of time, that can be day, week or months accordingly. Same way we have another angle which is 8 is to 1, that is 8 points per week. That is 8 points per day, per week or per month. Either of them, whatever is suitable accordingly. This angle is also been given, which comes to 82 and a half degree. Equally, if we see on the downward side, that is on the bottom side, we get 2 is to 1 movement. That is in 2 weeks. That is in 2 weeks, we have moved by 1 point. Fine. So this is how it is. Next is 4 is to 1 angle. That is in 4 units of time, we have moved by 1 point in price, which comes to 15 degree. This is somewhere around 26, 1 by 4. Now don't consider this to be around 45 degree or something like that, or maybe half of 45, which is to be having this angle. So do consider accordingly on the basis of that, on the basis of the price movement. You just don't draw a 45 degree angle. No, this is not the way to draw it. You have to consider equal number of points and equal number of units of time. That can be week or month or day. This can be done also on intraday on similar basis. Then we have a 4 by 1, then we have 8 by 1, which is 1 by 8 points per day, per week or per month. So this angle comes to 7.5 degree. This is 15 degree, half of that is 7.5. So this is how it is. This has been beautifully drawn on the chart also. Let me show you the charts which are being drawn by Gann. Now, if you move further on, see on page number 137, we see this 8 is to 1, that is 8 points per day, 4 points per day, which is 4 is to 1. We have 3 is to 1 line, that is 3 points per day. 2 is to 1, that is 2 points per day. And we have 1 is to 1, that is 1 point per day. So this is 45 degree accordingly, which is been shown. And the same resemblance of 1 is to 1, 2 is to 1, 4 is to 1. We have 3 is to 1 also. We have 4 is to 1, 8 is to 1. All these lines can be seen over here. For example, this line is 1 is to 1 line. Then comes my 1 is to 2 line. Then comes my 1 is to 3 line. Then 1 is to 4 line and 1 is to 8 lines. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines are there. And if you see over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 lines are there. So now these are all for the bull market, which is above 45 degree. What is 45 degree? It is 1 point of movement per day, per week or per month. Same way, if you see on the bottom side again we have got accordingly lined 1 is to 1, 2 is to 1, 3 is to 1, 4 is to 1 and 8 is to 1. So if I see this probably on the chart, we have 1 is to 1, then below that we have 2 is to 1, 3 is to 1, 4 is to 1, 8 is to 1. So accordingly, considering this line, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have 6, 7, 8 and 9 lines. Together we have 9 lines which we have to consider. So this is positive on the top side. This is neutral if we have to consider that, which is 1 is to 1 point. And then below this we have negative. And how to get these lines? Probably if you go on the left hand side, you'll be finding tools. And on these tools, if you see across, you will be finding Gann fans. Accordingly, we have Gann square, Gann box. We have other spirals also accordingly, but probably Gann fan is what we are considering over here as a tool, and we are trying to see across the moments over there. So just to summarize what we have learned today in this session is we have talked about Gann geometric angles, Now, geometric angles are nothing but Gann fan, which has been done. How to draw this is you can start from any point that you want. Let's say, for example, we have considered a low which was there in 1990 in Nifty. We started from this point and we have considered a high of 2008. Now, why we have considered a high of 2008 is going by the rules of Gann. That is, we should be able to see 1 unit of moment of time, and in that similar number of unit of time we should be seeing 1 unit of price movement. What is that price movement? We have seen that there are 6000 days, and in this 6000 days we have approximately seen 6000 number of units of price movement. So that's why we consider this 1:1 ratio, where from the bottom till this high point we have seen 6000 points of upside movement in equal, that is 6000 number of days. Of course it is varying a bit, so I know that this is not the exact point, but if you look across from this 1:1 line, the market did come down. It broke my 2:1 line. It came down to my 3:1 line. It took a support at my 3:1 line over here. Again, it bounced back from that line, went up above. So if you want to take a trade over at this point, yes, probably you can take a trade. Started moving up. It again probably just tried to come back, maybe touching this levels. Again moved up over that. So it was not able to break our previous price point. Ganse's double top are again important. So from there, it did again go down, but it didn't go below my 2:1 line. It took a support at those lines, went up naturally to my 1:1 line accordingly. And from there, again, it started pushing up. Now, if you see the movement over here, it was holding on to my 1:1 line. But because of COVID, the pressure was being created. It did fell down below that. Again, naturally took a quit momentum support above that. Now, if you look at maybe probably this support that we have seen is again at my 1:1 line. So after this 1:1 line, yes, it has moved up now considerably above that to my 1:2 line. So that is in one moment of price, in one moment of time, the price is moving by 2 units. In 1 unit of time, my price is moving up by 2 units, and probably at this stage, yes, it has just crossed that. So from here onwards we can see a huge momentum coming into the market, going to my next level, that is 1:3 points. So here onwards, maybe probably we can see some rapid movements to my next line. This is how you can look across to that part. So we saw this Gann angles which are there in bull market. You can call it Gann angles, you can call it Gann geometric angles, or whatever names you can provide from your side. Irrespective of that, it's going to be the same thing. So these angles have been given: 45-degree angles, 1:1, 2:1, 3:1, 4:1, 8:1. So this is for bull market above 45 degrees. Above 45 degrees is this is going to be a bull cycle. Below that is mostly bear cycle. So bear cycle movements are below 45 degrees. That is 1:1, 2:1, 3:1, 4:1, 8:1. That is, and one price movement is maybe in 1 unit of time, and one price movement is there in 2 units of time, or maybe 3 units of time, or 4 units of time, or 5 minutes of time. So it is taking longer. That's why it is considered more of as like a bear cycle in that part. So this is what we studied about Gann angle something specifically. We'll go to the next part, which is octaves, because octaves is again a bit difficult. After that, seasonal cycles is there, and the most difficult part is the harmonics part. This is a bit confusing to understand critically, because we need to know that what is exactly is harmonics that way, right? So let's try to continue this further and see what things we will be able to get over here. So let's meet in our next sessions, coming up sessions, and try to understand more about this part. Till that, fine. Thank you so much. Bye. Take care.